I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned. And if you listen to the old timers in town, they'll tell you he's still out there.
Camp Crystal Lake is jinxed. It's got a death curse.
Some folks claim they've even seen him right in this area. Hey, who's that? Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess? The girl that survived that night at Camp Blood, that Friday the 13th, she claimed she saw him.
Boy, is he dead too?
We didn't find any boy.
Then he's still there.
She disappeared 2 months later. Legend has it, Jason saw his mother beheaded that night. And he took his revenge. A revenge he'll continue to seek if anyone ever enters his wilderness again.
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday. That's a good boy. Good Jason.
Are you crazy?
Jason's out there.
What's up? Didn't see you there. We got a strong protein shake. What?
They say that the internet is dead. What was once a playground for the living has now become an endless void, inhabited only by soulless bots and cold calculating AI, endlessly competing for your attention. My name is Ghost, and I exist to haunt this void, to be the ghost in your machine. The movie begins at Higgins Haven, directly after the events of Part 3. The police and paramedics are hard at work, cleaning up all the bodies that Jason left in his murderous rampage. We see Jason is still lying in the barn and is very much deceased. Jason is then loaded onto a gurney, and after giving some poor girl a lifetime of nightmare fuel and anxiety, he is transported to the hospital morgue. At the hospital, we meet the coroner, named Axel, a man that would most certainly be a frequent flyer to Epstein's Island. After grossing out his co-workers, Axel does his best to get some nurse poon in the same room as Jason. It didn't exactly work out for him. Jason then tracks down the nurse and punishes her for being desperate enough to let someone like Axel put his wiener inside of her. The scene jumps to the next morning, and we are introduced to Hot Mama Jarvis and her smoking hot daughter Trish. as they jog through Jason's backyard. We find out that Mrs. Jarvis and her husband are separated, and that Mrs. Jarvis is getting very thirsty.
What do you think? I think you're getting horny. Okay.
They finish their jog, and when they return home, we meet Trish's 12-year-old brother, Tommy. We discover that Tommy spends his time playing video games, making scary masks,
A nice mask.
hanging out with his friend Billy, hunting for pirate treasure, walking the train tracks, killing vampires, and helping his friend steal his grandfather's Cadillac.
Honey, get a haircut.
Oh, Ma.
The scene then switches to a group of, teenagers traveling in an awesome 1980s station wagon on their way to the rental house across from the Jarvis place. We meet Ted and Jim, who are sitting together in the back of the car. Ted makes fun of Jim for being
A dead fuck.
and Jim complains about being thirsty too.
I'm horny.
They stop in front of a cemetery to get their bearings, and Pamela's grave can be seen in the background. They encounter a hitchhiker standing out by the road, but ultimately decide she's way too fat and too unattractive to be worthy of a ride. And just like Pamela ended poor sweet Annie, Jason shows Rosie O'Donnell no mercy. This family really fucking hates hitchhikers. Back at the Jarvis house, they engage in a family hug. Just as the gang pull up to the rental house, Tommy goes outside to meet the new arrivals, and Trish joins him.
His name's Gordon. I'm Trish. Hi, Trish. Hi.
Mama Jarvis looks on and senses that there may be some fuckery afoot. We get introduced to Sam and Sarah as they sit in the bathroom and discuss how fun it is to be labeled a whore.
You do it with everybody.
I'm great in bed.
Really? They don't say anything about me.
Mama Jarvis reads about Jason's killing spree, but seems about as concerned about it as Edna was. And we saw how that worked out. Later that evening, Tommy wakes up and does the kick worm when he thinks he's gonna get to see Sam's big-ass titties. But Mama Jarvis cancels his Pornhub subscription before he gets the chance. The next day, the gang decide to walk down to the lake to go swimming, and they run into every man's fantasy. Sarah decides to go back alone to get the car, but due to horror movie virgin rules, Sarah is currently off limits. Don't worry, Jason will ask her about it later. Everyone makes it to the lake, and with just 2 words,
Skinny down!
Paul makes this scene 1,000 times better. Tommy and Trish pull up, and Tommy finally gets to see Sam's titties, along with double bonus titty content. That's like 6 whole titties. Trish quickly covers his eyes, and Tommy fights her like those titties possess a cure for cancer. Trish gets invited by the gang to a party they're having later, and Trish takes Tommy to the car. While on their way home, suddenly their car breaks down. While Tommy attempts to fix the car, he gets the shit scared out of him by a hunter named Rob Dyer. Rob manages to fix the car with his boot knife, so Tommy and Trish give him a ride. They arrive at the Jarvis house, and Tommy drags Rob up to his room to show off his stuff. This poor kid has been surrounded by estrogen for so long, he was desperate to hang out with anyone besides his mom and sister. We catch up with the gang at the house, and Jim shows off his sick dance moves. He tries his best to outdance me, but he fails. Ted demonstrates how to face rape a girl you just met, but she gets turned off because his lips are way bigger than hers. Tina then starts flirting with Paul, hoping that her mosquito bites can somehow compete against Sam's big splitter puppies. After Tommy gets enough exposure to testosterone to thin out all that estrogen, Trish walks Rob outside so he can go make camp and continue on his hunting trip. Trish then decides to inform the literal stranger that she just met and is armed with a knife and rifle that they'd never lock the doors to their house, despite Trish making it blatantly obvious that Rob is more than welcome to pitch his tent inside of her campground. Rob decides to give her a smooch on the cheek and decides to spend the night inside of his tent instead of inside of her. Rob's not gay though. You can see he's kind of struggling to walk away from her, and I can't blame him. Trish is super hot. No, we'll soon find out that Rob has other priorities. The gang start getting shit-faced, and they begin making questionable decisions. Tina turns up her flirting game on Paul, which pisses off Sam. Sam storms out, but when Sarah tries to follow her, Doug grabs her by her arm and tells her not to stir the Kool-Aid. Ted complains about Tina being a whore, and he is perplexed by how his face rate move didn't guarantee his success. Sam decides to go for a swim because it's been over 10 minutes since she showed just how nice her titties are, and no one's complaining. She hears a noise and assumes it's Paul hiding in the woods. It's not. Sam decides to bear it all and swims out to a nearby raft. Jason pops out of the lake, Navy SEAL style, and stabs her in her stomach through the bottom of the raft. Motherfucker. Paul finally sobers up enough to remember that Sam is way hotter than Tina, so he ditches her and goes out to find Sam. On his way down to the lake, Jason decides to taunt him.
Over here.
Tina decides to aim her community vagina at Jim and ask him to dance with her and to fuck her within the span of 56 seconds. Ted is then forced to watch as the guy he's repeatedly called a dead fuck for the past 2 days walk upstairs with his date to blow her back out. Ted spots the other twin and decides a copy is close enough to the original. She also shuts him down, which leaves the audience concerned that Ted might actually resort to fucking that teddy bear. Paul spots Sam lying in the raft and swims out to her, but he screams when he finds out that he dumped Tina for nothing. He quickly swims back to shore, hoping that he's not too late to hook up with Tina, but Jason makes sure he'll never be able to use his dick ever again. While at his campsite, Rob hears the unmistakable scream of a man getting his dick ripped off by a spear gun, and he is visibly horrified. Rob is so terrified that he mistakenly grabs his machete instead of his rifle in a desperate attempt to protect his dick from being ripped off too. Rob looks back to see Jason leaving his tent and disappearing into the woods. Rob approaches his tent and finds out that while Jason was inside of his tent, he had ripped apart Rob's rifle to show him how he had ripped apart Paul's dick. Back at the house, Tina gets turned on when she finds out that she's about to fuck Jim on Paul's bed. The bed suddenly collapses, likely due to Sam's intense bedroom skills.
I'm great in bed.
Ted finds some antique porn, but Terry is less than impressed. She tries to get Tina to leave, but Tina isn't done giving Jim several STDs. Terry calls Jason a slut.
You slut!
And he takes it way too personally. Sarah then decides her legs are now open for business, and Doug gets the honor of being her very first customer.
Stop.
Meanwhile, Mama Jarvis comes home to an empty house, but wins the wet t-shirt contest before Jason takes her out. Sarah shows the audience just what she's been hiding under her dress for the entire movie, and she doesn't disappoint. Trish and Tommy finally make it home, and they find that the house is empty, and Mom is missing, and the power is out. Trish decides to go out into the rain to find Mama, and makes Tommy stay behind to fix the power. Trish finds Rob's tent, but Rob nearly kills her because he thought she might be there to chop off his dick. Jim goes downstairs to let Ted sniff Tina's panties, but Ted is too baked to even speak. Jim then goes into the kitchen to get some wine, and Jason helps him find the corkscrew and the meat cooker. Tina looks outside, but she can't quite see through the window, so Jason decides to help her get a better look. Rob shows Trish his vintage Friday the 13th collection, and then he explains that he is there to hunt for Jason and to avenge his sister, Sandra. Doug and Sarah take a shower, and Sarah's body double shows off her juicy booty cheeks. Ted gets desperate and grabs the teddy bear, but thankfully Jason kills him before he can have his way with it. Doug and Sarah's body double finish up their shower, and Sarah goes to blow dry her hair. Doug then invites Jason to take Sarah's place in the shower with him, but Jason shows him that he ain't into no gay shit. Sarah goes to find Doug, but gets upset when she realizes he no longer has his handsome face. She runs downstairs to the front door, and after waiting for nearly the entire movie, Jason finally gets to ask her that question. Trish and Rob decide to team up and go back to the Jarvis house to find Tommy. Trish attempts to call for help, but Jason decides to cancel her long-distance plan. Trish and Rob go over to the neighbor's house and decide to leave the defenseless 12-year-old kid all alone while a masked maniac roams the area. I mean, why didn't they just get into Trish's car and haul ass out of there? Go call for help from the nearest neighbor's house, or arm themselves and barricade themselves in a room. They even got a dog to attack that motherfucker if he breaks in on them. I mean, anything would be better than leaving Tommy by himself while you what? Go looking for the same maniac that bent the barrel of your gun with his bare hands and ripped off Paul's dick? Yeah, fuck that. They make it to the neighbor's house and go inside. The lights go off, and Rob decides to go down into the dark basement alone with a guy that just ripped someone's dick off. Ripped their dick off. Meanwhile, Trish notices that Gordon the dog has run upstairs, so she goes upstairs to find him. Gordon the dog then fucks off out the window, showing that he's smarter than both Rob and Trish. Meanwhile, Tommy goes through Rob's bag, probably hoping to find something to defend himself with, but all he finds is Rob's Jason collection. Trish then finds Doug just hanging out in the bathroom, so she runs downstairs to tell Rob all about it. She runs down into the basement to get Rob, and they head back upstairs. That is until Rob breaks one of the steps, which slows him down long enough for him to remember that he forgot his knife. Rob decides to go back downstairs to get his knife, and Jason suddenly appears out of nowhere, and he attacks him. Instead of defending himself, Rob decides to go out narrating his own death. Trish then runs away, but once she realizes that Rob has stopped screaming and is most certainly deceased, She chooses to go back and help him. Jason grabs her leg from underneath the stairs, and Trish uses the machete that Rob gave her, and definitely wish she had held on to force Jason to let go of her leg. Trish then runs to the front door, but she can't seem to find the nerve to step over a dead Tina to run to safety. Trish then runs to the kitchen door, but she is stopped by the screen door that Jason made from Jim's corpse. Trish decides to waste even more time by putting down her only weapon to grab a chair and break the kitchen window. Trish crawls through the window and runs back to her house, while Jason... I don't know what he was doing the whole time. I guess he was still just hanging out in the basement, taking a fucking smoke break or something. Trish makes it back to the house, and she begins nailing the front door shut. Jason then shows them just how utterly pointless that was by launching Rob's dead body at Mach 7 through the windows. Jason chooses to ignore the broken windows to attack Tommy by breaking through another window. Trish decides it's hammer time, but when that doesn't work, she improvises. Jason then lets go of Tommy, but that is terrifying. Trish and Tommy run upstairs, and they decide to barricade themselves inside of Tommy's room. Jason decides to go and get his axe back from Sarah. And then he uses it to start chopping his way through Tommy's door. Trish improvises again by weaponizing Tommy's computer monitor and uses it as a sledgehammer. Jason gets knocked out cold, but when Trish and Tommy try to sneak past him, he recovers and nearly takes Trish out. Jason decides to ignore Tommy, and he goes after Trish. Trish runs back to the neighbor's house and suddenly has no issue stepping over Tina's dead body. Jason runs after her and chases her upstairs. Jason corners her upstairs, and Trish decides to fuck off, doggy style. Trish shows off her camel toe, and he is so impressed that he rushes downstairs to get a closer look. Tommy remembers what his mom told him, so he decides to finally get that haircut. Jason makes it downstairs, but misses his chance to get a glimpse of that moose knuckle, so he follows Trish back to her house. Trish decides she's had enough of Jason's bullshit and goes on the offensive. Trish manages to land a couple of decent shots on Jason, but it ultimately just pisses him off even more. Jason is about to take Trish out for good when Tommy calls his name, and Jason is stunned to see that Tommy is secretly one of his biggest fans. Jason knows that imitation is the highest form of flattery, so he approaches Tommy to give him an autograph. Trish seizes the opportunity to take one last shot at Jason. She fucks it up and only manages to make him feel self-conscious and lowers his self-esteem. Jason demands Trish apologize for her rude reaction to his appearance, but Tommy demands vengeance for his mother and for Rob. Jason falls to the floor, and he immediately regrets letting the machete that is lodged in his skull break his fall. Trish and Tommy share a victory hug, but when Jason starts twitching, Tommy's newfound bloodlust kicks in, and he's eager to feed that monster. The movie ends with Trish in the hospital. Tommy suffering from Vietnam levels of PTSD. and Jason takes a leave of absence until shooting begins for part 6. And that is the end of Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
You need a lift? You go.
What's the matter?
I have a headache, Axel. For you, I always have a headache.
Oh.
Great and bad.
Do you mind sleeping in the bottom bunk tonight?
So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. I have to return to the void now, but I will haunt you in the next video.